Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Tech at Home class presentation. Today's class is going to be on artificial intelligence and a discussion on if it is more or less beneficial to our society as a whole. Okay. So a little bit about what we're going to go over today, and thank you all for coming out this morning. A little bit about how AI works, how it's created, and what the general purpose of artificial intelligence is supposed to be. We'll talk about some of the good and bad uses of AI, especially in today's modern era. Some tips and tricks on how you can use AI for your benefit and to stay more safe while using AI. I will do a brief demonstration on one of the AI tools, one that you've probably heard of called ChatGPT. And then we'll have a short Q&A section where you guys can ask any questions from the audience. So as you listen, feel free to come up with some questions. Okay, so how does AI work? So artificial intelligence, also known as AI, is most simply a math problem, a very complicated one at that, and one that people spend their entire life learning about. And it can learn to give you better results over time. Oftentimes that is done through text, so language models, but it can also be for images, videos, and more formatted results like spreadsheets. AI is trained on many example questions. We're talking millions, billions, or even trillions of example questions, and it becomes graded either by a human or a smarter AI than itself on the result. It will get a score for each individual question, and that's how it learns to create these sort of neural pathways, just like a human would learn the more correct answers slowly over time. So what is an AI model and what is an AI tool? So these terms get sort of intermixed a little bit in the media, and I want to clarify that a little bit. So an AI model is more so like the engine, the technology that is underneath the hood, and that's what runs the entire AI tool. So new models, more specifically, are the things that will make big headlines, things that you'll see in the news, and I'll have a list of some of the most common ones on the next slide. AI tools, however, is sort of what's packaged together, what's pieced together and made into a usable product. So you as the end user would be the one using an AI tool. Tools give users a way to prompt, which prompt is just a term for asking a question. So you are prompting a question and receiving a well-formatted result from the AI tool. Many tools will stop prompting if it is illegal or restricted content based on guidelines set by the creator. And then tools will often give you a choice on which underlying model to use if you go through the settings. So here's a little bit of an example on two different models. And I don't expect you to be able to read the exact numbers within this spreadsheet, but more so look at the general formatting. So on the left-hand side, we have ChatGPT, well, I guess in this case it would just be the underlying model, the GPT 5.1. And on the right side, we have GPT 5.2. And just in that short amount of time, I think it's just a couple of months of development between these two models, we can see a much more well-formatted and auditable financial document. And then this is some popular AI tools that people might use. So we have ChatGPT, we have Copilot, Gemini, and Sora. So ChatGPT is created by the company OpenAI. Oh, it did not change. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. So ChatGPT is created by the company OpenAI. Copilot is created by Microsoft, and one that you will see integrated a lot with the Microsoft Edge internet browser. Gemini is a Google product, one of the most popular ones, integrated into the Google search engine. So when you're typing in questions, oftentimes you will get a response by Gemini. And then Sora is also a product created by OpenAI, and one that you will see used to create artificial images and artificial videos. So here's some of the good uses of AI. You can use AI for writing, so no more staring at a blank piece of paper with a title on it. You can immediately start drafting a story or informational booklet almost immediately. You will provide general direction to the AI tool, and it will, within seconds usually, you will receive a well-formatted result. It could either be a bulleted list, it could be a formatted spreadsheet, or it could be a well-organized story. You can then make bulk changes to that response. So if you say, oh, I want that to be more formal, please make this a little shorter, put it in a bulleted list, it can revise that entire document almost immediately. I would exercise caution for more technical documents, things like a legal paper, or anything that would be more of a expertise level request, at least at this time until AI generally develops a little stronger. So AI can be used for education. So personalized explanations can be put out based on a student's level of knowledge. So if you have two students in the same room, one is a little more developed and one is less developed, you can make personalized plans for them, and the descriptions, the explanations received for each topic could be dependent based on the student's level of knowledge. You could translate pretty much any document very quickly into another language. And you can break down topics not just to a different level of knowledge, but also to a different form of knowledge. So if this student is more of a visual learner, or if they learn better just by reading or by listening to the examples, that can be accommodated extremely easily and pretty much for free. And then additional research and reading can be brought available as needed, just to sort of provide a more well-rounded explanation for the student. AI can be used for productivity, mostly in small businesses. You can automate pretty much any boring task that you could think of, simple document writing. You could come up with pretty much any answer you need within seconds. Smart voice assistants, so think of Siri, Amazon Alexa, or any of those other varieties. The Hey Google series, for example, they provide answers hands-free without needing to touch a keyboard. AI business analysis finds inefficiencies in your business. So if you need a financial audit, for example, AI is now powerful enough to accommodate that. You can make your employees more efficient, which saves you as a business owner more time and money. It can help you brainstorm new ideas, new product ideas. You can say, hey, AI, please generate me 10 new product ideas in this industry, and it will come up with those ideas within seconds. Most of them aren't great, but if you ask for 100, I'm sure you could find at least one good answer in that list. And then marketing materials and custom logos have never been easier to create. So if you see small businesses around you in the community, all of a sudden having what appears to be professionally designed logos and graphic design on their website, almost certainly AI is to blame for that. Predictive models can be put in place that would sort of outweigh almost anything we had in place previously just through typical computer programs. So climate models, think of anything that the weatherman would be showing on TV, are now being powered by AI. So they can take in not just days worth of data, but centuries worth of data that they have available at their knowledge, and it would all come into play. You can also invest with AI. I wouldn't recommend it, at least at this current time, but it is being put out sort of in the experimental stages for financial investments, and it is showing very promising results, almost more so than these Wall Street brokers. AI can be done for more humorous cases. So Think of all the humorous media you may have seen either through social media or through friends and family. It's certainly one of the largest reasons anyone would be using photo or video generation in today's era. So people will generate these videos depicting quite ridiculous scenarios. So like an alligator eating shingles off of a roof and various different scenarios. I'll have some images here shortly with my face in them just so you can see what an AI-generated image would look like. And then they've also used it for AI songwriting. So we've seen some funny examples. You might have seen it in the media or in news where some people are getting quite popular for creating old historical songs sang by a modern artist or vice versa. So like think of like Elvis singing a modern song by Katy Perry, very humorous things like that. But in reality, it's most often being used to create the more tedious music you might hear. So hold music, for example, elevator music, that's now all being made by AI. So now let's get into some of the more bad uses of AI. So we have deep fakes, so fake videos and images made without somebody's consent. So a deep fake could spread political or societal misinformation about this person, which could be damaging to their reputation. And it could be used for exploitation or blackmail if you have direct contact with that person. So there's also privacy concerns with AI. So most AI tools in use are currently using your questions to train the next AI model underneath. And we can certainly see a problem there. So people asking questions to that next model might stumble upon your sensitive answers. So you certainly don't want to put anything personal or proprietary into an AI model, especially something like ChatGPT, Copilot. Any one of those could be trained on your information. So job displacement, one of the biggest, most topical things in regards to AI, because people are now automating away all of the entry-level jobs. So anything you could think that would be pretty much entry-level, like general labor. So we have AI-powered robotics that can sort of replace any general laborer and is being used a lot overseas nowadays, where they bring in a couple $1,000 machine, which might sound like a lot, but over the course of a year, it might save tens of thousands of dollars on labor costs. It can allow your employees to be more efficient, which sounds good at the surface level, but then if one person can do the job of 3, then you no longer need the job of those other 2 people. AI for research has limited a lot of graduate abilities, so they no longer have the skills necessary to parse through more technical documents, more academic literature. And it's certainly being used for cheating in high school and college. And as new detection methods become available to find out if the students are using AI, a new model comes along and breaks it again. AI can be used for phishing. So AI bots will pretty much instantly respond to you if you fall for a phishing scam. They can use voice or video impersonations of your friends and family. So a lot of times we're hearing nowadays, when you answer the phone, don't say your name, don't say hello, this is Tyler, for example, because they can pull that voice clip and then use it to train AI on your voice, and then they'll go over to your grandma and they'll send that voice clip over saying, we need money. AI can be trained on publicly available pictures, so if you use social media, you are certainly at risk of this, or even just one photo nowadays is enough to make a fairly well convincing AI depiction of yourself. And then a little more advanced AI exploits are being found using AI tools, so a more unskilled hacker can find a vulnerability. This is... We're missing a slide. Okay. Here we Okay, environmental concerns. So water usage by AI is extremely talked about nowadays. It's taking up valuable freshwater resources because oftentimes these AI data centers are not purifying their own water. They're using local municipal freshwater sources, and that's really straining the system in a lot of cities. Power consumption is certainly skyrocketing due to these AI data centers, extremely power-hungry computers, some of the most powerful computers in use in the world. Noise levels certainly pose a threat to nearby humans and livestock. There have been a couple very significant media stories about that where people within several blocks of these AI data centers are experiencing headaches and just general restlessness because of the low frequency humming of the fans used in these computers. Several computer components that you might have heard about, such as RAM, random access memory, are becoming extremely expensive. Nowadays, I think RAM is going for almost 2 to 3 times the price it was just 2 years ago. So everything is becoming a little more expensive in the computer world because of AI. So AI hallucinations. This should hopefully come as no shock, but AI will happily lie to your face. AI models can hallucinate pretty much anything they need in order to provide you a competent answer. AI models at the fundamental level do not know anything about the world around us. They do not store any information. They have no memory. They are simply just predicting the next best word over and over and over. They do not pull from literature or fact check their own statements. Training methods, when they're creating these new AI models, often reward bold statements over complete honest answers from AI, such as, "I don't know," or "this might require further research." Training data can be heavily opinionated. Think bias in and bias out. So these training data, we're talking about millions or billions of pieces of literature, those can all be heavily opinionated pieces of literature, could include factually incorrect statements or some that are completely biased. So what makes a good prompt? So when you are prompting AI, you want to be asking very specific questions. You want to be saying, "Hey, I need this exact thing." You also want to specify the length of response. If you do not specify, "Hey, I want a 5-sentence response," oftentimes it will give you a book. It will give you so much information and it will be less useful to you than you would have been just researching. So you also do not want to hint towards an answer when you're building your prompt. If you are saying, "Hey, I need," what would be a good example? I don't have a good example right now, so I'm not AI, I can admit that. But try not to hint towards an answer that you're looking for. So if you're saying, "Is A good answer or is B a good answer?" If you hint it towards A, it will immediately go for that response. It will not do any research necessary to truly identify which would be the more probable good answer. It would also be wise to redact any personal information. So if you are copy-pasting an email draft, for example, into an AI chatbot, you will want to replace the people's names in there with some underlines or the word name or blank or example, and then AI will immediately fill that back in for you. That way you are not training the next AI models on the names of your friends and family. So how can we help spot AI-generated media? This is an extremely difficult task nowadays, but I want to give you a little bit of the general things you'll see in AI-generated content. So first, you'll ask yourself, could this possibly exist? So like I said earlier, the alligator eating shingles off of a roof, can alligators fly? The answer is no. So if you see that, certainly that would not be a real piece of media. Oftentimes, they will include exaggerated facial expressions, almost cartoonish in a way. You will see AI watermarks. So we went over Sora, which is one of the most common AI video generation platforms. If you see an AI watermark, it will immediately tip you off to there being a AI-generated piece of content, I would hope. You just need to learn to recognize that watermark. Like I said a little bit, there would be a cartoonish style to them. Oftentimes the skin and hair is shaded flat. It would not be exactly what you would be looking for in a realistic piece of media. Sometimes they are missing fingers or have extra fingers, so AI is notoriously bad at generating hands, feet, and limbs. They will often disappear out of nowhere, reappear within an instant. And then just generally the subjects in the videos will morph into many different objects. So here I have two examples of images that I generated with my face. So on the left side we have me in a jungle, which I certainly did not visit that jungle. And on the right side we have me holding a sword. I am an ancient knight. So we can see some very clear issues with some of these photos if you look closely. I'd say the one on the left is far more realistic than the one on the right. So on the left, the hands are generated very well, but the skin is shaded quite poorly. The hair is shaded very smooth. So if you got very detailed, very close zoom in to these photos, you would notice that there is some gaps. There's also an AI watermark at the bottom right of the jungle photo that says Meta AI, which is the tool that I use to generate it. On the right-hand side, we could point out some more obvious issues. The fact that I am clutching the blade of my sword with what appears to be 3.5 fingers, slightly off kilter there. And then just generally the background sort of morphs into itself. There's no clear identifying features of the background. Everything sort of just mushes together. So here I'll show a little demonstration on some of the more basic use of AI through ChatGPT. So we'll start at chatgpt.com, which is a totally free AI generation platform. We will type in a good prompt. I want to ask for a monthly budget for myself, and then we'll usually receive a result from ChatGPT within seconds. So here I am starting on chatgpt.com. I'm on my internet browser of choice, which is just Microsoft Edge. So I typed in chatgpt.com at the top, took me right here. You can sign up with an account or you can continue as a guest. I just continued as a guest without an account. So it brings up immediately a option here to type in your prompt or attach media. So next I typed in my prompt. So I want to create a simple monthly budget for someone who earns $2,500 per month, pays $800 in rent, and wants to save $300. Show how much they can spend on food, entertainment, and other expenses. That would be a great example of a prompt that you can ask ChatGPT. I'm giving it very good specifics, but I'm not leading it down the pathway of exactly what amount should be in each category, and I am not including any very identifiable personal information. So then after a couple seconds of thinking, it begins generating a formatted result. So here's a simple monthly budget based on the information you gave. So monthly income, fixed goals and expenses. So a simple breakdown, sort of very simple math. And then I can scroll down further. I can see the sort of categorized examples of each category, so food, entertainment, other expenses. And it seems like a very simple breakdown at the start, something that most people could do just on the back of a napkin. But then I could immediately go into the bottom and ask more specific. So I could say, make it longer, break down into 10 more categories, and you could become very granular within seconds. So now I'm going to open it up for a short Q&A section. So Larry's going to walk around with a microphone. So when you raise your hand, just wait for him to come to you with the microphone. Please keep all questions brief and on topic. And then please stick around for some closing remarks. We might be having a little technical difficulty, so just give it a second. Think of the questions that you might want to ask. Okay, so do we have any questions from the audience?
When I read something, like online, how do I know if it's accurate information?
Okay, so when you're reading a piece of AI-generated content, oftentimes it's really hard to tell, but AI has a few giveaways. Oftentimes it will use the double hyphen, so the double dash mark, so the long dash mark, something pretty much nobody uses when generally typing, is found for some reason extremely often in AI-generated media. Also, it will be very specific. So when we saw the response from AI through that ChatGPT demonstration, it often replies back in proper answer format. So it's extremely long-winded, something most people wouldn't type out or wouldn't even bother to type back. It gives you a little bit of a gauge, but other than that, there is AI detection tools. So the same thing we were talking about with like the high school and college teachers nowadays they have to deal with. Pretty widely available. There's many free and or paid options where you can paste in the piece of content that you think might be AI generated, and it will spit back on if it thinks it is more or less likely to be AI generated. Okay. Do we have any other questions?
And while I'm walking over there, I might add to that, one thing you can do is look in other sources. So if you see a Facebook post or any other kind of post that looks like it's a little sketchy, go and look in some completely unrelated sources. And if you find that same information, then there's at least a likelihood that it's true. But never believe a Facebook post just because it says news are reporting that Landis Homes is adding a helicopter pad to the top of the building. Go somewhere else and find that, and if you see it in a couple places, then maybe you should pay attention to that.
To address that, I read the New York Times online, and I pretty much believe what I get out of the New York Times or not.
I won't get into whether you should believe it or not, but I will say they do fact-checking that is far beyond what normal people would expect.
Thanks for coming in today. I use ChatGPT for like simple stuff like how to fix my iPhone or how to make a salad dressing or something like that. But where is this going? Where if this is just the beginning, you said in 3 months they already doubled the capacity. Where is this going?
So where AI is going is really hard to tell. It seems nowadays that they are building new AI tools by the second. So we have plenty of new startups day over day, month over month. And they're coming up with quite a lot of interesting uses for AI, both in business sectors and in personal use. So sort of personal assistance with more so, I'm trying to think. So it can be more so like a personal assistant in a physical format. So something that they would be developing physically. So we would be talking more so like a standing robot, something that could physically assist you once you become ill of health or on your daily general tasks. That's one of the biggest, like sort of like futuristic things, something that a lot of people would have been putting in science fiction is now very much possible to have a robot living in your house, and they are actively demonstrating some of these things. That's probably one of the most significantly like dystopian level uses on where I think AI is going to be going. But just in general, just keep an eye on the headlines, and they'll be telling us more as they develop it.
I think we might have time for one more.
Okay.
You already answered some I had a question about, but let's say that I ask it to write a poem for me. that poem that they create, and by the way, it does it very fast, like in 3 seconds you have a great big long poem. Is that one of a kind? Would they ever be reproduced? Would the AI ever reproduce that as it is? So it's, no, it's kind of be only one of a kind.
Oftentimes, AI will be trying to generate one-of-a-kind pieces of media, so something that you haven't seen before. So it's trained on a lot of different poems, for example, in this scenario. But it tries to spit out what it thinks would be the most relevant collection of words for your poem. So oftentimes it will stumble upon very similar sentence structure or poem structure, or like alliterations, for example. It will fall into a lot of those different like similarities, but it will be completely one-of-a-kind, unique generated. So if you hit generate again on the same prompt, it would give you something completely different.
So is there anything that would keep somebody to produce let's say, a detective story? Could that be sent to a publisher that could be published, even though he didn't write it?
It could, and a lot of times it is being used for like story writing and things like that, but oftentimes it's not as, not necessarily well formatted, but it's not as believable of a story. It lacks a lot of the character and charm of a proper story writer. So oftentimes people will realize it's AI generated or at least a poorly written piece of content. So you'd have a tough time getting like an AI, like a completely AI piece written and published, but I'm sure it has been done and is being done actively right now. Okay, so that's about all the time we have for questions and answers. The next class topic will be on the App Store, so the Apple App Store on iPhones, and the Google Play Store on Android phones. So I want to talk a little bit about the apps that are available and how to recognize if an app is good or bad. Classes will be held on the first Tuesday of each month at 10 a.m. here in the West Bethany Chapel, and then you can tune in to WLH for all the upcoming class topics ahead of time. There will be no take-home paper for today's class on the back table like there was for the last two, but you can feel free to reach out to me through the Tech at Home phone number or email address with any questions or concerns. Okay. Thank you all for coming to today's class, and you can be dismissed.